Ja, das ist gut. Welcome, everyone. You are listening to and perhaps watching Hot Sauce Sports. I'm your host, Pease Del Reason. I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, also from his home, Terry Tam. Terry, how's it going, buddy?
Very good. Our number one fan, actually, well, one of our number one fans. We have multiple number one fans. His girlfriend gave birth. His girlfriend gave birth today and made me an uncle. I am an uncle.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Congratulations to person.
My brother.
Congratulations. That was your brother?
My brother's girlfriend gave birth.
Oh, how else do you become an uncle?
Well, but I'm Uncle Pease to like all my friends' kids.
But a little creepy.
I also became Uncle Pease, like real Uncle Pease, a couple of months ago, as my sister-in-law gave birth.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go, double uncle, baby.
I have two. My stepbrother has two kids, so I call them my nephews. But blood, this is my first.
Yeah, you don't like them as much. I understand.
There's one of them. I love that guy. He's the best. He's me and reincarnate. He's me, the little person.
Yeah, that's not enjoyable. That's not enjoyable for anyone. The disembodied voice you hear, of course, is the Eagle at Master Control. Eagle, how you doing, bud?
Nobody calls me uncle, but a lot of people call me daddy.
Heyo.
Yes.
Eagle,
hopefully.
I'm writing that down I'm making a clip. I'm making clips for our highlights. I'm going to make like an intro song. I'm writing that down.
I'm going to have a lot of bad ones. Like if you compile everything I've said into like a little like segment, man, there's going to be a lot of stupid shit in there.
Yeah, we're going to avoid that as a segment because we don't like prison. So
find the rest of the sheets.
Yeah, given the I'm curious about how you're doing, Eags, and I'll get to Terry in a second as he looks disorganized. I'm curious how you're doing now with the news that Christmas in Montreal is canceled. Or across Quebec, but we live in Montreal, so fuck the rest of Quebec.
Well, the first thing that happened to me when I heard about that was, great, now I got to cook for myself on Christmas. And then I got to figure out where to go buy all this shit. Normally, like, other people take care of that, and I just show up and do what they tell me to do, right? But now I got to do it myself. Ugh.
I got to work now. I got it. I found it.
Nice. Well done. I'm just getting cheap for that day, Eagle. Because it's just my wife and I, so that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I'm kind of just like, do I do the regular thing? Like, we have traditions and all that stuff, so do I just try and replicate them, but for two or however many we're going to be?
For two, though. It's just not the same thing.
Yeah, it's missing that whole spirit idea, right? The whole idea was you take Christmas off to spend it with friends and family, and now that's not going to be possible, so...
Man, if you want to get me started on this fucking government, man, the way they've handled this thing. At first, they handled it extremely well, I find, and then they just kind of start patching up, and it's ridiculous, man. It doesn't make sense to me how I can go to Carrefour Laval and the parking lot be 75% full. Everybody walking around, everybody with masks, okay, but everybody's touching the same shoe, touching the same pair of glasses or whatever they're looking for, but I can't go to my brother's house with 8 people when he has a newborn. It's a newborn's first Christmas, like things like that. It's just they don't understand. It's like they do things to make people feel safer, but they just annoy the shit out of 90% of the population.
Yeah.
Well,
and I said it earlier today. I mean, it's the right decision after many, many wrong decisions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like if we'd done it right to begin with, we wouldn't be here and having this conversation. So that's the part that sucks.
Well, but the thing is, what's clear to me is, and we knew this even in election time, that the people who put our premier in power were big business, because that's the world he comes from, and the people who need to keep running their shops and keep, running their factories and construction sites and all that, they need the daycare service that is offered by public education. However, I don't know if you know this about children, Terry, they're awesome at spreading disease because they are always sick and are always giving it to people who are far more vulnerable.
How many times as a kid did you do this when your nose is running?
I did it today, Terry. I've learned nothing from
Or, like,
humanity.
just like wipe your snot on your
Yeah.
sleeve. Man, my sleeve in elementary school was green, yellow, red because of mustard and ketchup, and then boogers.
What? Dry face, right? Dry face.
Yeah,
Look, there's no easy solutions for sure. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be different. But it gives us the opportunity in any case to provide people with the distraction that is sports and dick jokes, and that's the perfect area in which we reside. Christmas seems to have come early for some NBA players and some teams, or so they think. Russell Westbrook traded to Washington for John Wall.
It's great. I just wrote a quick blog about this. I think this is the best thing for James Harden. I think that he wanted out of Houston because it looked like Westbrook was going to stay. So when they offered him $50 million and he said no, actually I wrote a blog on how he's a prima donna because of that. I know you and I would disagree on that. You kind of changed my opinion a bit on it since then, but reality is
the thing is like I expect that too because like you've changed my opinion when it comes to like hockey transactions sometimes because like that's the league for which you have more knowledge and the NBA and we kind of meet at the NFL, but like I know the NBA a little bit more, you know the NHL a little bit more, and so like that will happen, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. So you kind of flip me a bit. I mean, I still do hate the fact that guys. There's not a lot of loyalty in the NBA, but I do respect the fact that the NBA, and I've always said this, is that the NBA is a player-first league. They market their individual players extremely well, and that's why the league does so well. Yeah. But my issue was more of this team is showing you loyalty by making you the highest-paid player in the league, and you're saying no to them. It's a kind of an insult, and the fact that you're going to go run to a team that has two other guys. But anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah. So he makes a statement by saying, "I'm not coming if you're going to give me $50 million. I want like somebody else, basically." And reports came out from Bleacher Report today saying that he said that he fits it better with John Wall than he does with Russ Westbrook, and I agree 100%. I don't think anybody on this planet has seen the truest potential of John Wall because he's been so injured. And John Wall to me is the most. John Wall and Bradley Beal are the two most underrated players in the league to me.
Well, I mean, they're to underrated, overrated. I think
no, but like
I think John
I
Wall
feel like they don't get the respect they deserve.
I think he's exactly properly rated because of the lack of playing time, because he's been injured so much. It kind of reminds me of Derrick Rose. It's just that like his game is explosion, and that explosiveness is gone. He's gone like the Dion Waiters route of like the dude obviously likes donuts. Which is okay. Like I like donuts too, but I don't.
Every time I go to Tim's, I gotta get a Boston cream. It's gonna happen.
Best donut, by the way. Best donut, Boston cream.
Boston cream is the best donut. Anything else? If you tell me jelly donut with the powdered sugar all over the place, go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
I'm not getting powdered white sugar all over my shirt because it's gonna happen. Yeah. The jelly's good enough. They don't even put enough in there. They just they put a little bit, and it's like you have to wait to get to the middle. If you're gonna give me a jelly donut, fill it all the way like a Boston cream.
Absolutely, and custard is absolutely one of the greatest delicacies created by humankind.
Doesn't Eagle not like it?
Sorry,
Eagle doesn't like custard, I think, right?
No, I love custard. I eat Boston cream like I eat ass.
Heyo, that's another quote right there.
He's often said that.
What episode is this? 90 or is this episode 89?
Pretty sure it's 89? Question mark. Not gonna check.
So I think it's a good idea. Like. You had two guys with extremely high usage in Westbrook and Harden.
90 it is.
90. Episode 90. You can just change it on the screen. So the thing is like both guys kind of played the same game with Harden and Westbrook. Were different versions of the same game, but they just need the ball a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of like the rumors of Harden going to Brooklyn, because I said, well, Durant can score from anywhere at any time, no matter what, and Kyrie's played off the ball when LeBron was there was with him in Cleveland. So I'm like, that actually makes sense in a way that no one's gonna like. It's gonna be ugly basketball, but it's gonna work. This is actually I think this works okay. I think John Wall will fit better with Harden, and will occupy sort of that two-guard spot.
What happens to Washington now? Washington was 1 seed. They were 9th seed in the East last year. The only team in the play-in from the East. Are they a playoff team now? Adding Westbrook in?
Westbrook makes you guaranteed a playoff team just because he's the best athlete I've ever seen in life.
Really?
his speed, explosion, like
He's up there.
like for his size, right? Like, so there are guys bigger who do some things better. There are guys smaller who do some things better. But just what he does at his size is the most impressive thing I've ever seen. And the fact that like he's getting older and his game has not changed. Like he hasn't had to become a shooter yet because he's still faster than everyone on the court, which is crazy.
I have a follow-up question. Now that Westbrook is with the Wizards, what's his most powerful spell?
It's a good one. I mean, he has to get rid of that. Something has to be with that little thin mustache he still has going on there.
And that's pretty bad. Eagle, give me like a spell prefix from Harry Potter. Like how do spells start?
I mean, most of the time they're just tweaks on Latin or Roman names or whatever.
Yeah, but give me started. Give me
Leviosa.
Yeah, Leviosa, definitely.
Leviosa, Hagosa, because he's gonna hog the ball.
Okay,
that's a good one because he lifts. Leviosa is to lift.
I was gonna say even Accio Ball because he just takes it away from people.
Yeah, there you go. Accio Ball. That's a good one. Accio. He just
Accio non passa.
Accio non passa. There you go.
Yeah,
sounds like a very nice dish though.
Yeah, I would eat that.
Accio pasta, I'd eat that. I'd eat that like
you put it on the side. It's great. It's ingenious.
Or a Adava Kedavra budget.
Yeah. Definitely interesting. One last thing, Terry. I saw this on Twitter and it made me laugh. We're gonna get to a news segment and then the news in a second. But I saw this and it tickled me for two reasons. One, because you just hate Toronto sports fans.
Yes.
Right? You hate all of them. Like you hate Maple Leafs fans. You hate
I hate the Blue Jays and I hate their fans.
Yeah,
well,
Blue Jays
really
fans and Raptors fans. There we go.
I mean, whatever.
So,
but I hate the Raptors fans. Yeah, absolutely.
So I saw the report, like you saw too, that apparently George Springer is very interested in playing for the Blue Jays. The only person saying this is old-timey columnist Joe Morosi. And I've forever told you I have this thing with Elliot Price, the Montreal market. Elliot Price was the old school guy, kind of like Jack Todd in the Montreal market as well, who like would pretend that they actually believed that their radio segments or their articles had an impact on what the team was doing. They had such arrogance about their role in the sports landscape when, like, my dude, if you're the only one saying it, you're just reading from your dream journal.
That's it.
And I looked for other sources saying George Springer's coming to Toronto, and he's the only one who said it at all.
Toronto media has this weird way of thinking that they are, even though they are the fourth largest city in North America, they like to think that they're the fourth largest market in sports, when they're not.
Yeah,
they're not. They might be larger than Chicago, but they're not bigger than Chicago is in sports. They're not bigger than Boston. They're not bigger than LA. They're not bigger than New York. They're not bigger than Houston. They're not bigger than even Atlanta. They're not.
I say Toronto reminds me a lot of LA and Miami in the following way, that there's a lot of transplants in Toronto. And so it's a big money city. And what happens is that if you're good, people go to your games. Like we're seeing people starting to be interested in the Miami Dolphins in a way that they weren't for a long time. Or when the Heat, when the Heat sucked for one season, nobody's at the arena. The Heat are good again, it's packed. Yeah. And the thing is that there's just too many options in cities like that, right? There's just too much to do, and there's too many ways to spend all that money you're being paid than to just go to a game. So Toronto kind of has that feel to me, like a junior LA or a junior Miami, basically.
I agree.
So Terry, I was thinking about this. There's a new segment I want to debut. Hopefully next week you can chime in as well, because I kind of sprung it on you last minute. But sometimes you're watching a game and you want desperately to lower your caloric intake, right? You don't want to be drinking, smashing beers all day, especially now that the NFL is like 6 days a week because of all the COVID tests and the delays. So we had, football Wednesday. We're doing our show on Thursday this week. And I said, you know what? I need to sort of get loose, but I don't want to consume the calories. Luckily, a new substance has been legalized in our home province. And as such, we now would like to bring to you this segment where, under the influence, we got some incredible thoughts going. I like to call this segment NFL Blitzed.
Okay, so this means is that I'm getting blitzed, but I'm not supposed to eat.
Well, so it depends. I'm good with that. I'm like not a munchies guy. I'm more of a.
I am though.
a booze and food guy. I'm more of a booze and food guy.
No, I'm a munchies guy.
Nah, not me. So the point is though, sometimes opens up your mind. You just think about different things. Sometimes they're football related. Sometimes they're like, this is how I can improve the league. This time around, it was not. There was two items that came to mind. The first one is I was hanging out with my wife, feeling good. She put her hand on my leg, and I realized, so when someone puts your hand on your leg versus you touching your own leg, when you touch your own leg, it's one sensation, right? Someone touches your leg, it's a different sensation.
Instant erection.
But I realized how much are you feeling their skin, and how much are you more aware of your own skin? So how much skin? What's the percentage of their skin versus your skin? What's the skin-to-skin ratio, you think?
There's 0% feeling their skin.
Okay, so you're only feeling your own skin.
You're only feeling your own skin.
So you're not feeling them touch you.
You're feeling the weight and the heat of their hand on your leg, but not the skin of their hand.
Eagle ratio.
I mean, scientifically, Terry's right, but I get what you're saying.
Give me the ratio.
I'm going to go 50-50 just to make it
There we
feel
go.
good.
50-50. I had 60-40, Eagle. I had 60-40. So I'm the moderator.
So you want to do this? So the next time I'm Blitz, you want me to think of, try and like just be aware of what I'm thinking of and
I
write
have
it down?
a pad now, and I'm starting to write them down. The next thing I thought of was I was considering, Lego does such a great job with like the Marvel and Star Wars properties, right? You see them on Disney Plus, and I was like, what else can we do? Like, what can we do to like sort of compete with that? And I was like, what if Hot Sauce Sports came out with like our version of the Mandalorian, but with fruit, like the Mangolorian?
That's a good one.
Change all names.
Yeah.
Instead of Ahsoka Tano, you got Apricot Tano.
And there's just fruits flying in space.
Absolutely, it's the same exact things, but like
same exact show.
You put that helmet on top of a mango.
You're replacing, what's his name? Grogu? Is that his name? Baby
Grogu.
Yoda?
Yeah.
Awful name. Awful.
Yeah, it's
Brutal.
okay. I mean, it's not worse than Yoda.
It does. Yoda rolls off the tongue, but Grogu. If he was Rogu, then I'd like it. But Grogu. Why
Grogu.
the G at the beginning?
It's
But
silent.
that's his name.
The
Why
Yoda
would
is like,
Gary?
it's 2 syllables. It's bang bang. It's easy. Grogu,
Grogu
just
is
like,
also two syllables.
imagine being Blitz and trying to say Grogu a few times.
Oh, I did.
It's possible.
I can tell you it's possible. The other name was there was 2 other names that came to mind. So there's Grief Karga, played by Carl Weathers. Grape Karga,
Carl Weathers isn't dead. I haven't seen an
No.
episode of Mandalorian, so I can't tell you.
excellent. And then finally, instead of Boba Fett, you got Boba for apples. With that, Terry, it's time for the news.
Is that going to be our episode name, or is Akio Pasa going to be the episode name?
I like Akio Pasa.
Akio Pasa or Bubba for apples. So Eagle, say that. I think you can go now.
Terry's the news. I love that we kept talking through the music, which is the thing Eagle hates the most.
Also, I couldn't sing it to you because you were talking over it, but that's okay. Also, the episode name is called Who Needs Family When You Have Die Hard, in reference to the cancellation of Christmas.
Yeah, because you can't cancel Die Hard. You can try to cancel Die Hard.
I saw this post the other day. It was like it was a bunch of boxes with numbers and all the like Christmas movies, and Die Hard was one of them. Like Die Hard is a Christmas movie, right?
Of course,
Absolutely
it is.
is. Absolutely is.
It has to be. It takes place during Christmas. Automatically a Christmas movie.
So we had Wednesday football as the Ravens and Steelers game was delayed from Sunday to Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday. And then we had the Broncos compete in a game with no quarterback. And all of this made me think, the fuck are we doing? Like, what is this?
Just move the game.
It's just like, so.
For 2020 here. You can figure it out.
The thing that's starting to bother me, and maybe this is like a gambling and fantasy thing, where when I was watching the NBA and I was watching the NHL, I kind of felt like I got a break from the pandemic. NFL has become a living reminder of COVID-19. My day-to-day operations are filled with texts about who's going through the protocol, who's being tested. We have Roger Goodell saying that this is obviously the best option and the protocols are working. When the Broncos played a game without a quarterback, that's a thing that actually happened in 2020 when all teams have 3 quarterbacks on the roster at minimum. I remember at the beginning of the season, we talked about why not like go into isolated bubbles where you play your division first and then you have a break and then you play against the other divisions that you're going to play next, and sort of like you move in like these small compact bubbles. And our producer Alex Hinton said that this affects the integrity of the game because the schedule is based on last year's performance. But watching a game where there's no quarterback, that doesn't affect the integrity of the game.
Absolutely.
Really?
When you have to sign a guy for one day and he makes $35,000 for that one day, and he looks awful. You might as well have put Anthony Calvillo in there. You would have done a better job, And it's like, and nothing against the guy, the kid. I forgot his name. Hindley Sutton. Hinton. And nothing against him.
Name because we'll never have to learn it.
But then we have to see. Yeah, but then we have to see Trace McSorley play for the Ravens, and it's just like it's this whole fucking mess where everybody, like, I'm a commissioner in my fantasy league and I'm getting messages like, oh, can we add another IR spot because my guy, I have 2 guys on COVID list for the Ravens. I'm like, well, listen, I go, if I do that, then everybody else is going to bury the other players on IR and they're going to pick up other players and it just ruins the waiver wire. So it's like, just don't complicate. They're trying to make it easier for the fans and for fantasy football and daily fantasy, and I get all that, and they'll never admit that, but that's why they're doing it. But at this point, they should just postpone the game. Like, the season isn't going anywhere. We've been able to run 90% of the season pretty much flawlessly. If it wasn't for the Titans that went completely off protocol, I think most teams were honoring what they were doing.
But Terry, we saw Brian Hoyer start for the Patriots.
Yeah.
We saw Lamar Jackson miss a game this week. We saw the Broncos play without a quarterback. Like
a divisional game, nonetheless. By the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the NFL, we talk about how important it is to play every game because there's only 16 games. But then you dilute that by the fact that people can be missing games because, hey, that's a lot of people in a workspace who aren't isolated, who still have kids that are going to school, who still have family members that they're seeing, who still are surrounded by trainers who they themselves see their own kids. And like, I love how it's like, oh well, if that one coach wasn't wearing a mask, yeah, the mask helps, but like you're also you put yourself in a position where you're going to have sickness, you're going to have illness. Like, why do you need to have the Super Bowl when it is? Why not extend the season so you can do these pocket bubbles and send people home a week or 2 at a time?
Because if you send them home, there are more chances of spreading it that way.
You quarantine them upon the return for 14 days. I'm saying the football season, you end in summer sometime. Like you end in March or April or May. Because who cares how long it is? It's not a normal year. Like, let's stop pretending.
No, I really doubt that they even thought of any way of extending this because they would lose so much money if they did.
Oh yeah, for sure. It comes down to television contracts.
They're probably losing all this money, a lot of money anyway. Like the NHL lost money this year, but they put on a flawless playoff.
The NHL and the NBA were fantastic products. Maybe it was also like we were starved for sports at that time. I was so excited, but it was
playoffs too.
But it was playoffs. But again,
it adds a bit.
Like we see Major League Baseball getting lucky that there wasn't a 7th game because a player played a game while affected, and then like what happens, by the way, if the Dodgers lose that game, and then we see this happening, and we already saw 2 great examples with the NBA and the NHL playing in a bubble, and then the league that comes around later just sets up for a shit show. It makes no sense to me.
It makes absolutely zero sense. There's no recipe to be perfect in this. You can't be perfect in this.
No,
there's no way. And the NFL, I mean, Roger Goodell is trying to be going on camera now, is acting like, oh look, I'm here with you guys. I'm suffering. You're probably in this fucking. You're traveling in your fucking private jet all over the place, uncontaminated. Goodell, thank you for putting on the season, but go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty
also,
much
like you're gonna be on camera in the evening. Put a goddamn tie on, Roger Goodell.
No, I'm okay with the no tie. I'm okay with
Jesus.
no tie.
Trying to look like a regular person.
I wasn't okay with him.
You not look like a scumbag.
I wasn't okay with him at the draft in his little fucking basement, acting like in the man cave,
That wasn't his basement. That was like a random set where they just chose pieces from the
series. That was IKEA.
Yeah.
It was a stage showroom at IKEA.
It's like when my dad used to love buying stuff at Sears because he's an older dude. Like whatever the Sears equivalent is, JCPenney. It's the JCPenney catalog, basically. The Bears seemingly have Matt Nagy on hot seat. They're going back to Mitch Trubisky. They flip-flopped on quarterbacks. Injuries have played a part in that too. I had a take in our chat group, Terry, and I want to know what you thought about this. I actually don't think Matt Nagy's the issue here because he's not the one who didn't draft Pat Mahomes and instead drafted Mitch Trubisky and trade up for Mitch Trubisky, where there was a million question marks about his play heading into the NFL. And all of them played out that way. And then they gave a ton of money to a guy who's been a career backup, other than one shining moment in Philadelphia, Nick Foles.
Can I also add in specifically here that other than the double doink, the Eagles wouldn't have won a Super Bowl because the Bears would have advanced, right? So that would have changed the way we think about Nagy in general.
What do you mean?
Because there was a field goal kick that went off.
Oh, that was the double doink. What's his name? Cody Parkey.
Was it Cody Parkey?
Yeah.
Cody Parkey,
So the Eagles don't go to the Super Bowl if the Bears win that game, and Matt Nagy is thought of very differently, right? He wins his first year, first playoff series, this and that, whatever it is. Goes into the next season, a winning coach, that whole thing.
That was my point with Andy Reid. If Andy Reid doesn't win a Super Bowl, nobody speaks about him as if he's one of the best coaches, offensive minds in the history of football, which he is. But we won't speak about him that way if he doesn't win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So like with Matt Nagy, it's the other reverse. It's the reverse factor. The fact that he didn't win that game, we're hating on him, but rightfully so. You know what I mean?
We have a surprise guest.
We shouldn't be hating on Andy Reid. We should be hating on Nagy, even though I don't feel like he's the major issue here. But I do think that he's kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. We can't draft a quarterback. They didn't want to draft a quarterback last year because they still had Trubisky. They signed Nick Foles as the kind of like the insurance. Didn't work out. Trubisky can't figure it out for some reason. But I think a lot of us do this. Like Jamarcus Russell, he was the worst pick of all time, but everybody would have chosen him at that spot.
No, actually, there were several teams that put a 6th round grade on Jamarcus Russell that year.
Did I just hear Duke?
Yeah, Duke is a surprise guest.
Oh, with the Raiders
return. Duke, how's it going, buddy?
Wait, I got to point in the right direction. Why the fuck isn't there football tonight? What happened?
Because the Ravens were supposed to play tonight, and you can't play football back-to-back nights.
The Cowboys are playing the Cowboys.
A bunch of wusses, man. A bunch of wusses. Just play with COVID 2 nights in a row. Let's go.
Because that's what we need, more Trace McSorley.
I think they play the Cowboys next Monday.
He didn't look all that bad. I don't know if you guys were talking about it, but Trace McSorley didn't look all that bad. He
was okay. He looks like he'll play.
I want to watch Trace McSorley play football.
But that also being said, he has the worst name for starting quarterback. He'll never start in the league just because his name is McSorley.
Marty McSorley.
So, Dave, right now we're talking about Matt Nagy. What's your thoughts on Matt Nagy? Good coach, bad coach?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, they haven't done anything at all. He hasn't really had much to work with in terms of an offensive, But, I mean, look, whether it's Foles or whether it's Trubisky, it's all the same. I mean, you're not going to really win much with either one of them. But I don't know. I have no idea. I never watched the Bears. They're fucking boring to watch.
Yeah.
Who watches the Bears?
Correct.
I like watching the Bears.
I mean,
I watch the Bears when they play the Packers. So
just curious, when it's red zone, do you ever see the Bears on red zone?
Never.
They're never in the red zone, Duke. So
that's So there you go. That's the answer.
They're never in scoring position.
Yeah.
Chris, to the point where Chris Hansen is like, whatever, fuck him. We don't even need him.
I will say two guys who should play hockey instead: Trace McSorley and Easton Stick.
Easton Stick is a name.
Easton Stick is the backup quarterback for the LA Chargers.
What?
He's named after a piece of hockey equipment.
Fuck out of here.
Nope, 100%. Eagle, look it up.
Easton Stick?
I'm going to go check that because I don't believe you. That's how ridiculous
I don't believe you
Easton Stick and Eagle, when you get it, please put his face on the screen because that's a real person.
So, Duke, man, where you been, buddy?
The LA Chargers depth chart. Justin Herbert, Tyrod Taylor, Easton Stick. That's an actual name.
Can you look at?
I want a prop bet. I want a prop bet
or something.
I had a prop bet on him coming in on a play because it was like 0.5 plays for the game, plus or minus. So I took the over as part of a parlay and won the prop bet, but I lost everything else. I never would have thought the Easton Stick prop bet was going to be the one that.
His dad was a hockey player, and he lost a bet. He's like, dude, you got to name your kid Easton.
That's amazing.
Easton Stick, man.
North Dakota State.
What do you call him for short? East or Tom?
Just East or Sticky.
Born in Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, not much hockey going on in Omaha, Nebraska. There is an AHL team in Nebraska though, a good NHL team. I'm drawing a blank on who it is, but I doubt it's that. So nothing tells me about his dad naming him here on Wikipedia. So
you're never gonna find info on that. Let's talk sports. Give me something.
Will Fuller 5. He gets suspended for 6 weeks for PEDs that he says he had no idea his doctor was giving him, even though it's miraculously the first season he's not hurt a billion times.
So he knew that he was getting it, but he didn't know what it was. He said that his doctor thought that it was a proved substance.
Yeah.
Apparently, anabolism. What?
Do we know what the substance is?
No, I don't think they released the name.
Oh, I believe it was called Megaroids.
Megaroids.
From roidsroids.com.
Listen, I'm pro roids. Like, if you want to take them, take them.
Yeah,
but
so
everybody should be allowed to take them.
I'm actually with you because I think every player should just look like DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I actually was talking to someone in Vegas, a while ago, and they were saying that the issue was that it was because of the gambling commissions. They won't allow, if you don't have a testing and substance policy in place, they won't allow for gambling on your sport. That's why MMA, for example, has a MMA of all sports. You think wouldn't have a PED policy?
I think it's the most important sport to have.
I know, but given the general disregard of human life.
But imagine you being like a guy like John Jones, and you can head kick somebody in the face, and you're taking steroids. You can kill somebody, legit murder.
Did he already do that?
No.
Well, I mean, he fought it. Yeah. No, he got popped for the sauce. Dude.
Wow. Imagine what's running through his veins of 24/7.
Twice.
Must be a fucking party in there.
It's crazy, and it's a nice segue to our next topic. I mean, is it? No, it's not actually.
Well,
what do you guys want?
I thought we were going to talk about the boxing.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so John Jones, when he popped for steroids, he was he called it a picogram and a pictogram, and he's like, I'll explain. He told the media guys. The media guys like, what is that? John Jones is like, yeah, I'll explain it to you. And Dana White's like, shut the fuck up, you're not explaining it. You just called it a pictogram. It's not even a pictogram, it's a picogram. He's like, you're not explaining anything. These guys are meatheads. They don't know what the fuck they're taking. They have no idea what they're taking, and they just take it all because their doctor says it's okay. Which segue, old people boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't be the only one who is sad watching the Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fight.
What are you sad for? How could you be sad watching that? It's amazing. It was all the joy we needed in life.
Yeah, I wasn't sad watching
in 2020. I was able to have an actual laugh.
The best part about that entire fight was Snoop Dogg being a commentator.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, whoa. I think we're all gonna agree on this. He was the actually worst part about the whole document, the whole show.
No, you're wrong.
I actually really enjoyed it.
He had 3 funny lines. That was it. Other than that, he was annoying.
How many funny lines? I love that when he called it looked like his two uncles fighting at a barbecue.
Yeah.
But how many funny lines does Teddy Atlas have, Terry?
Teddy Atlas knows what he's talking about, though.
That's fine. I don't care about knowing what I'm talking about. I want to be entertained. It's a television product.
So my problem is that Snoop Dogg has that entertainment factor. But when we were watching when we talk about the Tyson and Roy Jones, I won't say anything about what he was saying. But when we're watching the Jake Paul Nate Robinson fight, which is a pro
Robinson,
fight.
I like that.
Jake Robinson, Nate Paul, and Jake Robinson. When we were watching that fight, he was like yelling at Nate, get up, man, get up. Like, you're not in the fight. Conor McGregor. Snoop Dogg annoys me because he acts like he's a boxer. He acts like he was a guy who used to fight. He acts like he's like that type of guy, but he's far from it. Have you ever seen this video of him boxing, him hitting pads?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's pretty bad. Like I'm not the fight guy that you are, Terry, but I loved boxing growing up. So I used to watch. I watched Tyson in his heyday. I watched.
What is real and what is not.
Yeah, I know that's me in my gym class in high school.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so Duke, you didn't find the old man fest to be particularly sad. To me, it looked like two guys who were out of shape, struggling to get through.
First of all, I will say that I'm absolutely I could not find a proper stream to watch it, so it was really laggy. But no, why the fuck would I? Why would you ever buy that?
Because you watched it.
No, never buy that. I'll never buy Jake Paul fighting and Mike Tyson in his. Oh, how old is he now? In his 50s?
Yeah, they're both
51, they're both in the 50s.
51,
right.
50.
I would never pay for that. But
the thing is it was a sparring match. You can tell they weren't hitting each other hard in the face. They were just jabbing. They were doing a lot of body shots, which I appreciated. They made it look as real as it should.
was
What?
pretty boring fight. It was kind of a boring fight.
Well,
though.
because it was a sparring match. If you, as a pure boxer, if you're a boxing fan, you liked it. Like I liked watching that fight. It was good because you saw Mike Tyson take a few shots. You saw Mike Tyson hit the body. You saw Roy Jones do his thing that he used to, like using his reach and things like that in dancing. Like you saw vintage of those two fighters, and that fight should have happened 20 years ago. And Roy Jones was going to do it at $100 million. So I mean, it was interesting. The best part about the night was watching Jake Paul fight, and I want, as much as everybody wanted to see him get knocked out because he's this privileged little prick that rode his brother's coattails, the millionaire. He's a 24-year-old little punk, and we all wanted to see him lose. But at the end of the day, the guy is a good boxer, and Nate Robinson had no business in the ring with him.
Let me get it straight about Jake Paul. So he's famous because of Vine. Right?
YouTube.
But it was originally Vine. No, his brother. So he was writing coattails of his brother, right?
Yeah, his brother was a Vine guy, became one of the biggest YouTube stars. Jake Paul just kind of wrote him, and now he has his own thing. He's like, listen, self-made, all that, all the respect to him, but he's annoying as fuck. I like Logan. Logan, on the other hand, I do like because he's a D1 wrestler.
Who was the Paul that filmed the video in a Japanese forest?
That's Logan. That's Logan. Yeah, the one that laughed at Suicide Forest there. So
that guy would be fun at a party.
He's a very good fighter too. He's better than Jake. He's the older one. He's better than Jake, and there's rumors that he's more close to fight Conor McGregor. Evander Kane called him out, so that might be a good fight. I mean, Evander Kane named after Evander Holyfield.
My favorite call out was Jose Canseco called him out, and I don't know if you know this about Logan Paul, but he used to date Jose Canseco's daughter, and he said, no problem. I love smashing Cansecos. You can hate the Paul brothers, but like they know how to internet, man. Like that's funny.
So that's my thing with Jake Paul is I actually would like to see him fight a real boxer because up until now he's fought a YouTube star and a retired basketball player. So I'm not going to give him a
basketball player, by the way.
Yeah, very short, an undersized basketball player, and a lot undersized compared to Jake Paul. I want to see him fight like a couple guys, maybe like at 3-0, maybe a couple rookies, first pro fights, like those types of guys. I want to see him fight guys that have been boxing for 10, 15 years, but that aren't professional, don't have the world class training that Jake Paul does. I'm giving Jake Paul all the respect that he is a good boxer. You can tell he knows what he's doing, but I don't want to see him fight Conor McGregor yet because he's going to get his bell rung. Well, but he's going to fight Conor McGregor eventually.
The thing is, it's going to be awesome because we're going to finally get what we want and seeing the Paul brothers get punched in the face, right? Like that's the payoff from the fight, right? But Duke, was because I saw people like making fun of Nate Robinson and like I love all the memes of like him lying down on a mattress. And so on and so forth. But do you think it's just the annoying factor that people like expected Nate Robinson to win? Because I know that the Paul brothers have been into fighting for a while, so I didn't expect that at all.
I'll say this about Nate Robinson. There's something about him throughout his whole career, even in basketball, where he's always been this lovable underdog. Like when he was playing with the Knicks, I mean, that was his best years with the Knicks. And shout out to him for wearing the Knicks colors. Obviously, the most Knicks thing ever is him getting knocked out in those colors. But
yeah, the Knicks took another L.
But I have to say that throughout his whole career, he's always been the kind of guy that, like, when he's on the floor, you're like, oh shit, is that Nate Robinson? And like you've always wanted to watch him. And even when he started off in that fight, like I don't know if it was like he looked angry, he looked like he was ready to fucking knock him out. He had like that. He had that fury in him, and his hair looked impeccable. He had like those amazing braids. But maybe that's what happened. He was just super aggressive from the beginning, and I guess he saw red and he just charged in. And I guess that's the worst thing to ever do in boxing, right? Terry, you know more than me.
I mean, I don't know. I never understood how boxers' hair stood in place.
Yeah,
I never understood
it. The soccer player thing where they put like just a shit ton of gel inside and then.
We're running a bit late, but maybe we should bring on Will Power if you want to push him. We push him to next week.
You guys can kick me out if you want. I mean,
no, stay. No, stay. By all means. I don't know. Eagle, are you calling him or no?
Yeah, I'll call him. Just gotta keep going. I'll figure it out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So just quickly before we get there, NBA drama, of course, reigns supreme in the off season. Most notably, Malik Beasley seen with Lasha Pippen.
This girl, man. She's an awful human being.
But Malik Beasley's the one who's married, right? And like
no.
You're holding hands.
Maybe I'm not crediting him. She's an awful human being. She's an awful human being.
Yeah, I do. I I did like people pointing out that Scottie Pippen Jr. liked a whole bunch of tweets of people, angrily going after his mom and Malik Beasley.
But
So
like the point of the internet is like Malik Beasley out of all people, like go after like I don't know, go after like a big guy, like go after Russell Westbrook or he's married, I guess. Go after James Harden, but Malik Beasley out of all people, and it's just like, what is she doing, man? And Scottie Pippen.
She's trying to get, she's trying to get some love, man. That's what it comes out to. What do you mean?
So you know the whole
She's
story
doing-
with her and Scottie Pippen, though.
No, of course
She cheated. She cheated on
There's
him
a whole
with
song
Future.
about it.
Yeah, she cheated on him with Future, and then he stays with her. She cheats on him again with Future. Future writes a song about how he's banging Scottie Pippen's wife. She ends up divorcing her, and now she's doing this again to
Yeah,
her
but
son.
you're saying that within the prism of your understanding of what relationships are like. But NBA players don't go by your standards. They don't have the same kind of dating life. A lot of
Scottie
NBA
Pippen.
wives, but yes, that doesn't matter. A lot of NBA wives are under the understanding that their men sleep around and they do the same thing. It's just that we live in a different kind of world, man.
Scottie
Yeah.
Pippen is not sleeping around today, and Larsa Pippen did that
What do
like
you?
2 years ago.
You're assuming that because you watched one documentary about Scottie Pippen and he looks like a sweet guy and he's got a sweet voice.
listen,
That's why I say that.
one thing I know from watching BoJack Horseman is you can have a face that looks like Scottie Pippen and still get laid because that dude looks straight up like a horse.
Really?
He does.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
he's got
but-
that John Elway thing. When you see them, you can't help yourself. Be like, yo, why the long face?
But I will say that before the story broke out, no fucking idea who Malik Beasley is, and I watch NBA, I have no idea who the fuck he is.
Yeah, he was a first
and I
round
still
pick.
don't. I don't even know who he plays for.
I also don't know who he plays for currently.
Is it the Knicks? Is it the Knicks?
No, he plays for the Nuggets.
I'm gonna change my background.
He plays for the Nuggets.
I'm gonna change my background.
So we're gonna head to break real quick, and when we come back, we'll
No,
be
let's keep
joined.
going.
Keep going. Oh,
Going,
Will's
going.
on the line. Okay, I thought you were having trouble getting Will.
No.
Hey,
He's
Will, how's it
moving.
going, buddy?
He's not
Hey
on
guys,
speaker.
how are you guys?
Good. Will Power. You guys know this, but for the listeners, Will Power is one of our staff writers and weirdly our Miami beat correspondent for a site that's not region specific and not based out of Miami. It is awesome that we have a Miami beat writer, and his name is Will Power. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, no, it's going great, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm ready for some good and exciting NFL football this weekend.
Who are the Dolphins playing?
We are beating the Cincinnati Bengals.
We
I
are
love the way
beating
he said that. Yeah, I mean, listen. Oh, that would have been a nice matchup. Tua against Joe Burrow. That would have been good.
But neither
Will,
of them
have
are
you
playing.
I know,
Will,
but it would have been nice. It would have been nice.
Have you ever been to Miami, Will? Always been
I've been
curious.
to Miami 4 times, and I went to a preseason game once where they beat Jacksonville.
And you're still so innocent and nice. I don't know how that
Yeah,
happens.
you're good. You're a good kid, Will. You're a
It's
good
the
kid.
youth. So what happens is that Miami fandom will eventually make you apathetic and beat the fandom out of you. And then you become a horrible monster such as myself. But in the meantime, really do enjoy it. It's really kind of fun. The thing I want to ask Will.
Actually, I have a question for Will. How did you make your room look
Couldn't
orange?
wait.
How did you make your room
I was
look
gonna
orange while not having any orange there? It's very weird to me.
Yeah, it's honestly the orange just follows me. I have if you see in the corner, that's my Dolphin sweater, and I'm wearing my Dolphin shirt right now. So whenever I'm on Hot Sauce, I'm always gonna rep something.
All right, that's good. I appreciate it.
I want to ask, Will, we've seen the Dolphins play the Broncos. We've seen them. We're going to see them play the Bengals. Is this the orangest schedule the Dolphins have ever had?
Yeah, that's a good question. Hey, Bengals.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I didn't think it was. Yeah, no, it's super orange. And for all we know, when we play the Patriots in the final week or second to final week, they'll be wearing orange too. We just don't know. But no, yeah, no, it's been crazy orange. I'd like to see the Dolphins rock that retro uniform though, like the Thursday night color rush ones. We haven't seen them this year.
Those are
Yeah.
so ugly. Your whole jersey's ugly. Just saying.
Shut up, you.
I love them.
So, Will, there's a lot of. So we just saw whatchamacallit, John Wall go to Houston. What do the Heat have to do? What piece are they going to add this year to get him over the hump? Because the same roster ain't going to work.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a good question. Well, I think that we take a guy from that Washington Wizards team in Bradley Beal. I know there's been rumors about potentially getting Bradley Beal out of Miami. As weird as it sounds, I don't want Miami to go after Giannis. I think he's a good player. He's just not that playoff type guy. And we'd have to give up too much to get him. So I think if Miami gets a guy like Bradley Beal in the lineup, who can shoot and who doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time, would pair super well with Jimmy Butler. I think just simply getting him and with like the defense Miami already has and the way they play together as a team, I think that that should be enough to get us to the finals again.
Well, but you say you'd have to give up too much. Like, you're obviously a young Miami Heat fan because Pat Riley will always sell the farm for top talent. It's always what he's done, right?
It's like you don't even know Miami Heat history.
I don't. No, 100%. I don't want to get rid of Hero or Nunn or Robinson, man. Those guys are we have a bromance with those guys right now. We can't.
Well, one of them is gone. One of them is not going to stay.
The Heat, I agree with Terry. The Heat is absolutely losing at least one of them. Just from how the contracts are structured, it looks like they want to keep Bam, they want to keep Jimmy, and everything else on the roster is available. Every other single. That's just the way Pat Riley does, man. He's almost 80 years old. He's not waiting to win a championship, right? Like he's playing for now. There's no point in Pat Riley building for the future. The fact that he's still working is nonsense. The guy has a beautiful home in LA that he never gets to see because he can't stop working.
No, you're just believing the Kool-Aid, bro. He's got a private helicopter. He goes back there all the time. Even a jet, a submarine, probably submarine.
Could be.
So let's do rapid fire with Will.
We'll do rapid fire with Will. Okay, let's do it.
And Duke, obviously.
So let's just cue it. Let's cue it up for the listeners as well as explain rapid fire to Will. Will, rapid fire is Eagle reads us a topic. We all go around quickly and say one or two lines about it. If you got a joke, feel free to drop it. If not, feel free to drop knowledge. Either way, it will work for us.
Awesome.
Topic number 1. For what it's Collinsworth, Chris Collinsworth had to apologize after he remarked, quote, "You're just blown away about how strong the fans are here in this town. Even the ladies." Is this a real important apology or just some PR to save his job?
Oh,
let's go,
Terry.
Go first. Let's go, Terry. We all know what your answer is.
It's fucking stupid. Will, go first.
You want me to go? Yeah, it's funny. Actually, I heard that. I think I heard it yesterday, and I kind of got a second glimpse, and I was surprised he said that. Look, I may get some heat for this. I think Collinsworth was coming from an okay place. I know what he said obviously wasn't politically correct. So I think that of course it's good that he made the apology. Do I think it's sincere? I don't know.
So you're erring on the side of it's a bad thing to say. It's really not a bad thing to say. And the fact that he's I'm sick to my stomach. I can't believe I said it. Collinsworth, go fuck yourself. Put on a sweater. The guy, it's not a bad comment. It's not outlandish to say that the male fans know more about football than predominantly women do. But to Peace's point, most likely is Mina Kimes knows more about football than anybody, 90% of the world. So there's obviously those, but if it's just a random person, it's different to see when you go to a football game to see a lot of women, and that's all he was saying. That's all he was saying.
Terry, typically you allow me to make my point on the show instead of in the text. So the goal usually is I say the thing I said in text, and then you react like it's the first time I said it. I think with the apology is important. There's a lot of women who work really hard to work in a space where they can talk about football and be taken seriously. So I understand it from that angle. I also understand that there's not that many of those jobs available like Chris Collinsworth had. So obviously he's under the microscope in a way that most people aren't. I don't think it was the end of the world. The intention, I think, was not at all to be negative. That said, man, just who gives a shit about the people of Pittsburgh? Why are you talking about them anyway? They're not even at the game. There's nobody in that stadium. Just talk about what you're seeing on the field.
There was in fact one person, and oh fuck, was this person annoying? There was one person screaming the whole goddamn game, and every time. And this is one of the downsides of COVID matches, where you hear the one or two fans that are actually there, and every time you'd hear us going, "Go for it! That's a penalty!" And it's
kind of makes you wish it was a lady instead, right, Duke?
It was a lady.
It's funny. I was gonna say
Um,
it's funny you mentioned that, Duke, because I actually rewound because I was like, okay, like that maybe that was just like a mic or something, and I hear like this woman screaming in the back, and I was like, man, like she's really got center stage. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
but annoying too.
Totally like, she had to be sitting behind a mic or something because they caught it all. So what I think about this, just fire Collinsworth. I just say never know.
He's terrible.
terrible.
Fire him because whatever, he's replaceable. Who cares who's calling the game?
Super. Not only is he replaceable, he's super replaceable. I haven't met a single person. Maybe Will, because Will likes everybody, but
Will's just the
he's the
nicest
worst.
person on earth.
Will, you can't possibly like Collinsworth.
I love Collinsworth.
All right,
No,
here
we-
we go. Here we go.
honestly,
We're done.
I
We're
really
done
don't
with
mind
this.
him.
We're
You
done
that
with
will
this.
like Chris Collinsworth. We could have
Pew,
told
All right.
pew, pew. Let's do it.
Next, just a regular, everyday Norman guy. Pro golfer Greg Norman is living the life. So after a successful career, he posted this picture. If
I
I
sent it to
can
you.
hopefully get it up. No, I had
Come
it.
on,
I had
Ian.
it.
Well, he had no
Production.
problem getting it up, though. Greg Norman had no problem getting it up.
He did not.
Maybe he
Hold
might
on.
have problems with
Nope,
that amount of
that's
blood
not
that
it.
needs to go. I just sent you it in our group chat.
Yeah, I
I could
know.
probably, I could
have
probably
it.
share my screen.
No,
I could
I
probably
have
share
it.
my screen.
Here we go.
Hey,
This
he-
lovely picture.
Yeah, there you go. Zoom in. Zoom in.
I'm pretty sure you can see what's front and center in this picture.
Oh,
can't see it.
wow. Okay, now I noticed it.
Yeah. His 9-iron is quite potent.
So the thing is,
That's
That's
bigger than
a-
mine. I don't think that.
That's a sausage. That's a good old fucking.
Oh, it's a knee slapper.
Yeah.
honestly, when I saw this picture, I saw this and I remembered Greg Norman's nickname was a shark, and that is one hell of a great white.
Holy fuck.
See how that dog was looking at it? The dog thought it was a treat.
He doesn't even need clubs. He just smacks the ball around. With
You know
that.
what though, Terry? I think you'll appreciate this. That was actually the second best penis story of the week. The first, of course, was that Sam Darnold's grandfather was one of the Marlboro men on the ads, and his name was Dick Hammer.
That's a lie. It's a lie.
No, that was his actual
Is that
name.
a stage name or his real
He's
name?
never going to be a good quarterback because he can't measure up. He's never going to be Greg Norman. He's never going to be Dick Hammer. That's what you got.
That's what you get. Next.
Fuller House. Vanderbilt kicker Sarah Fuller is the first female to play in a Division I NCAA game, executing a single kick in the 40-0 loss. But it was a squib kick, played very well considering she's been on the team for like 2 days. And she won the SEC Player of the Week award. Vanderbilt scored no points, like I mentioned. Kicker gave a halftime speech, and then they fired coach Derek Mason.
Why is she giving a halftime speech?
Yeah,
I'm cool.
That's the biggest issue.
Cool with everything. I'm cool with everything. I'm cool with the accolades. I'm cool with the moment. It's great. The fact that they didn't score any points, I know that the media was really focusing on that. I don't feel like that was really the big purpose. I mean, who cares if scoring points or not right now during this time? But I mean, giving a halftime speech, I don't know, from a kicker or a puncher never even happens. It is, and I can't imagine being a player like having put my body on the line and just not about it being a woman or whatever. It's not about that, but it's about.
but it's a kicker.
I
kicker.
hated. I didn't hate on the fact that she's. I mean, it's there, but like what I think is, if you want to include women in the football and you want to start getting more women involved, don't
make it
act like
natural.
don't act like it's this
natural.
whole event. Make it natural. Make it normal. And when
But Terry,
the
like-
halftime speech, nobody's listening. I'll tell you this: nobody's listening. No, but one person listens. They respect her. I'm not saying they don't, but nobody really cares. They're already down whatever it was at that point. They're like, this game's over, whatever. No points. Okay, not 1 point on the board. What the team is god awful this year. Like, they're not looking forward to anything. And the fact that she's coming in doing the halftime speech, the players are already frustrated enough. It's like, okay, if this person that hasn't been in the locker room the entire season is giving us a halftime speech, it's like, okay, let's just get this over with. And make it normal. Act like you've been there before. That's my whole thing with this. Act like
So
you've
no,
been there.
I generally agree
you've
with
had a
this.
female kicker before.
I generally agree with the sentiment about the kicker speaking and just generally someone who's new to the team speaking at halftime. That makes no sense. That said, Terry, I'm okay with her winning the SEC Player of the Week award because who gives a shit about that award? Who was the SEC player? Who was the SEC player of week 3? Who was the SEC player last week? I don't even know what week it is in the SEC because this weird season. Then
Says someone that's never actually won an SEC award. Just saying.
but like the thing is, look, it's not an award that comes with monetary compensation because, by the way, they're not allowed. The thing is, you don't actually gain anything from this award. This to me was more about sort of having the earmark in history. So like the same way that you wear 42 on Jackie Robinson Day, this is an important day. It's not necessarily the same weight, the same gravity, but it is an important day. And I think it should be remembered, and that's the way the NCAA wants to remember it. Fine, who cares?
Yeah,
I agree.
totally.
I've changed my stance on the award.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Just one quick thing I would say, like, I think it's great that she's playing. Like, when I saw the kick, was she like purposely only trying to kick it like 12 yards? Or?
It was a
Oh,
squib
okay,
kick.
okay. Okay, got you. Because then I was thinking like I could have went in and kicked it like that because it didn't seem to go very far.
Oh no, she's got a leg on her. She's got a leg.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
she's a
now.
collegiate soccer player. She's not like a rando.
Okay, this makes sense. now.
She's not a philosophy student. Get in here.
She might also be.
I think she's the goalie for
Pass the 20
Vanderbilt.
or your.
She is.
You
She
lose
is.
your
Terry, she is.
scholarship.
All right, next. Fatty Matty. Lions have officially fired coach Pat Matricia. All the players seem to rejoice. My only little tidbit I'm going to add on to you. You know, he is a rocket scientist. However, he doesn't look very smart when he has a pencil in his ear and a laminated play sheet.
That's my joke. You stole my joke. God damn it. I got nothing.
You wrote it. I mean, that's the thing about Matt Patricia is that he will forever be a coordinator and a damn good coordinator at that point. You know what I mean? He's going to be a DC the rest of his career.
That's a good question because, like, I think, like, a lot of times, like, if I can compare it to college, like, a lot of times we see guys who are really good college coaches, and they come to the NFL and, like, it just doesn't work. So, like, can he be okay with just being a coordinator, like you said, just like some like college guys who could only coach college? And like, I think it was the right move to fire Patricia, just because I feel like the Lions have too much. I mean, they've had too much talent for like a bunch of years now to be consistently missing the playoffs. But I think like Detroit needs to like clean house and like I don't know, maybe draft a quarterback. But I think it was the right move, and this team was only headed in the wrong direction.
I agree, man. I agree. And the thing about Matt Patricia is that he's Wade Phillips. He is a modern day Wade Phillips.
Meaning that he was hired as a defensive coordinator, from a defense coordinator became a head coach and underperformed. That's what you're trying to say.
He's a very good defensive
Because
coordinator.
we all understand Cowboy universe, right? We all understand Cowboy references.
Wait a minute.
Wade
Wade
Phillips
didn't
was a
work for
coach for like
Belichick,
5
though.
different teams, not just the Cowboys. He was never a DC for the Cowboys, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Dude,
These are your balls.
Line your shit and go. Line your shit and move, Duke. Let's go.
He's rocket scientist. I don't know about that. He worked as an engineer. I mean, I think people are just overestimating the whole rocket science of it. Pencil in the ear. How the fuck you
Rocket
have a
surgery.
pencil in the ear? At this point, I mean, either it's a style. You know what? I think what happened is that he had the pencil in the ear, but he didn't want to become like Ben McAdoo that changed up his hairstyle and completely ruined his career. So he's like, if I take out the pencil now, what do I replace it with?
Yeah.
Do I replace it with a knife? You know.
A knife.
No.
A knife is very dangerous. But no, I think the thing I keep thinking of all these guys who leave Belichick and are supposed to be the next great thing, and they end up not panning out. Of course, Will and I hope that's not the same for Brian Flores. But usually what happens with a lot of these guys is they leave and they come in with a lot of arrogance and they come in and they just act like assholes. Yeah. And the thing that you'll hear about Bill Belichick is none of his players think he's an asshole. They think he's actually a really nice man. He's authoritative without being a dick. And a lot of these guys haven't learned that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point.
And speaking of shitty coaches, Duck Gase. After the earlier report that Adam Gase was giving up play calling duties, Jets coach Adam Gase insisted in the postgame press conference that this was still the domain of the offensive coordinator. ESPN's Rick Cimini instead reported offensive coordinator Doyle Loganes looked at time as though he was waiting at a bus stop. I will also add that Gase quoted somewhere in the thing, it's 3 plays, it's really simple or something on that mantra in terms of what they were actually calling.
Gase is the you said it. He's like he thinks that we all don't know that he's lying.
Yeah, thing is like I like Will, you know Adam Gase as well as I do. I saw a ton of his press conferences while he was in Miami. Before I give my piece, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you tell us about your thoughts on Adam Gase and this whole situation?
I think that in the years I've been watching football, he has to be the worst coach I've ever seen. And not only that, I think the Jets would be better if they just didn't have a head coach. If they hired my mom, who doesn't know what a fumble is, they'd be better off. Because not only does this guy not only does he not know his football, but he shows no passion. He punts the ball on 4th down with his team at like 0-11, 0-12. It's as if he doesn't want to win at this point. I think he wants to be the 3rd team to go winless, and I think he's tanking for Trevor Lawrence. And I think he's doing it purposely now, and he's not hiding it. At least try and hide.
He's not going to
pretend you're going to win.
Yeah, like the Dolphins did last year. He's not.
Right.
The Dolphins hit it really well last year. I will say they hit it like. It was a little obvious, but it was like maybe is it? But the Jets,
and we still
it worked. It worked, and you guys got to it. The Jets, on the other hand, maybe the sex tape.
I think what it is exactly that.
He has a sex tape on Woody Johnson.
He's got a sex tape on Woody Johnson. That's why Woody won't fire him. Duke, what are your thoughts on Adam Gase?
Well, listen. Raiders are going to be playing them this weekend, and it's just one of these games that just stinks of a terrible Raider performance. They came off of a terrible loss against the Atlanta Falcons, and this looks like a gimme to most people, but I've known this team a long time, and when they shit the bed, I can smell the shit from a mile away.
So I see this quote by Gase, and it's Rich Cimini, not Rick Camini Eagle. Rich Cimini puts this quote out, and what Gase said was that Darryl Loggins gives him the 3 plays that he's going to then relay to the quarterback.
Yeah.
So the offensive system that Adam Gase this quarterback whisperer, what he seems to have brought to the New York Jets is a play calling style that I can only describe as bureaucracy. Yes, that's the way you want. That's what you want. You want the efficiency of public government running your offense. That's exactly what it looks like with the New York Jets. Duke, thanks for joining us. You were great. Will, your expertise was.
All right, one question for Will, because Will, in the last probably
Who's the sign off, man?
no, the last 6 months, 8 months, Will's balls have probably been super huge right now, and they're getting bigger. We went from the Heat, okay, make it to the finals, okay.
Balls
growing. Tua, the Dolphins looking good. Maybe they'll win the division. Maybe not. Looking good. Tua, balls getting bigger. Now, all of a sudden, Notre Dame, 8-0 or 9-0. Ian Book winning all these fucking awards. Ian Book, overrated. I don't know. I like the guy. I'm jumping on this Notre Dame bandwagon. Will, your balls must be bigger than Peace's head right now.
They're huge, and you forgot to mention my Toronto Maple Leafs and how they're going to win the Stanley Cup this year.
All right, now we wrap.
Go fuck this.
Rap on Will's giant balls.
Right here,
What's he
folks,
doing?
right here.
Oh my god. Barf.
It's over.
Barf.
It's over.
Barf.
It's over. I'm out.
Ian Book is the dark horse to win Heisman this year. You heard it here first. Ian Book
Whatever.
Heisman.
I like
I'm done with this shit. Bye.
See you guys.
You've been listening to Hot Sauce Sports.
Oh,